This is DaveNoseworthyMMA.
That was without question the most dizzying week in UFC history. After a weekend like that, I don't even know where to begin, and I don't know what to say. It was too much, really. Just a sensory and plot twist overload that was unlike anything we've seen in the past 25 years. The dust hasn't even settled yet, but it's Khabib who is left standing as the undisputed UFC lightweight champion. A long time back, I promised myself I would not talk about Conor McGregor until he's booked to fight. And I did a good job of keeping that up at least for a few months, but it's impossible not to acknowledge what took place this past weekend. It's especially significant as it directly ties to the past weekend's main event title fight, which was already marred with complication to begin with. You all know the story by now. McGregor and his crew stormed into Barclays Center and ran amok. They were complete hooligans, and what him and his crew did absolutely crossed the line. I don't believe for a second the intention was to come in there and do damage, whether it be to a bus or a human being. It was clear the plan was to stir shit up and to insert himself into the picture of the big weekend, and he did just that. But there were some casualties along the way, and anytime you physically hurt an innocent bystander, all bets are off, which is precisely why he ended up going to jail and getting charged. And that's really too bad, because it was reported today on the MMA Hour with Ariel Helwani that McGregor and his crew had planned on showing up while the pre-fight pressers were ongoing, which, needless to say, would have been a completely all-out crazy scene. But in true McGregor fashion, they showed up late. And by that time, all the fighters were on the bus getting ready to be brought back to the hotel. It was then that things kicked off, so they only had so many options to make their presence felt at that point, so it's no wonder everything happened as it did. It was rumored that this whole thing was a retaliation to Khabib and his crew cornering and confronting McGregor's teammate, Artem Lobov, earlier on in the week, which I have no doubt truly pissed McGregor off. Say what you will about the persona and all the antics, but for the people that know about McGregor and his history, one thing you cannot accuse him of is not being very loyal to his friends and teammates who were with him from the very beginning. But he wasn't that mad about it. Certainly not enough to warrant his actions, but here we are, and despite all the hoopla, you best believe this incident will be swept under the rug and forgotten about, just like the Bellator incident. For the time being, McGregor can get away with these things because he's just that big right now. Eventually the day will come. I have no idea when, but the day will come when it's time for McGregor to make that walk to fight again and to put all of that power and leverage on the line. Whether he keeps it or loses it, it's going to make for some of the most polarizing entertainment that the sport could ever produce, and that's why we are all going to be watching. But I've got to say, for me, the entertainment era of this sport has become tiresome. I've already talked too much about this in the past. I've beat the drum of the sport being too much about the nonsense outside of the cage and not enough about what we're actually all here to see, which is the competition between two elite martial artists and athletes. But an interview of Coach Duke Roufus put out by Severe MMA this past weekend hit on a lot of points that had me longing for the older days of this sport. Roufus was talking about how we got to get back to what this sport is. The fights stay inside the ring or cage. He also went on to say that he understands the game is different now with how much money is involved and so on, but there has been just too much preferential treatment for certain fighters, and that if Conor is to stick around, he should have to play by the rules like everyone else. He cited the days back when Brock Lesnar was the biggest star in the promotion, and he talked about how, although Lesnar was without question the biggest star around by a wide margin, he still had to ride in the fighter vans like everyone else. Rufus's idea of having standards and a code of conduct that's upheld by everyone in the promotion, no matter how high one's profile might be, was fantastic. He summed it up best when he said, "We got to get back to putting martial arts in the mixed martial arts."